All right, welcome to Max Effort Kitchen Podcast. Cornell, I just, I don't know what I was thinking. I just hit it and didn't even tell you. So I figured, I was like, he'll figure it out. Cornell, how you doing?
Good.
Great.
Except for, oops. You ever post something to Instagram from the wrong account?
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I didn't. No, we're good.
No, it's funny because sometimes I'll be on my work account and I'll start liking people. And I'm like, oops, well, Pizzicato likes them, I guess.
No, because I was posting hi on the Instagram chat, but I had accidentally switched over from my personal account to one of my joking, not a meme account. There's a handful of people that we have in the gym that either don't have Instagram or we want to like document their lives. So it's like the secret. I don't know if this guy knows about it, this account, but
is it the secret account for Tyler? Or
yeah, so my buddy Tyler, congratulations to him with the big 160 clean.
Big 160
the other day.
Yeah, that was a good one.
10 kilo PR. His Instagram is the life of Tay Tay, so then he decided to go with the secret life of Tay Tay.
I mean, it's fitting. It's totally fitting.
And then we also have my buddy Justin doesn't have Instagram.
Oh.
And so we have the Justin Ghost page from Strength Tank.
Okay. I think I've seen that one. He knows about that one though, right?
Oh yeah. No, he's amazing because he knows how ridiculous like influencers are and how they think they're so important and all that kind of stuff. So he is popularity all the time, and he walks into the gym and I got the camera in his face and he's just like, "Hi, followers."
Yeah. No, I mean the whole thing with Instagram. I've been talking a little bit about this because we just hired a new social media manager for Pizzicato, and like, you know, he's got all this fancy equipment and he's got like this like how to beat the algorithm equation. And I started a conversation with him. I was like, listen, do you beat the algorithm or do you just go hire these all these different AI companies that are doing it for you? And, you know, it was interesting because he was like, you know, the AI things are too good to be true. You're probably just going to get a bunch of fake shit. I go, but yes, you're right about that. But won't it put you in front of people? And he goes, yeah, I guess if you want non-organic followers. And I'm like, see, and so I'm like, what's the point at this? Like, I guess you can make money. I don't know.
I'm sure that there is money involved with all of this kind of stuff, but
yeah.
I don't care about people. There's not any real businesses that I know you're a business or you work for a business, and
right.
You're not going to sell me on stuff.
Well, and that's
especially being where I live. Your pizza place isn't going to sell me on flying up there to get pizza.
Correct. And that's the thing about it is like, there's this big idea in the sky about like, well, more followers or more exposure equals revenue. And I don't think social media necessarily means revenue, but what it does, and the way I look at it, is it sets a personality. So it gives your brand a personality. So like if somebody's scrolling, they're like, oh, I kind of like what these people are doing, maybe I'll go check them out or just follow. I've never looked at it as like, oh, this is a source of revenue. It's for me, and especially for Max Effort Kitchen, I kind of look at it as just exposure. And mind you, I have like 390 followers. So I'm not pushing anything big, and I'm okay with that. But it's just one of those things that the social medias can get so convoluted and so much, like, you know, where it starts to bother me is where drama starts to really, you know, affect your life through social media. And I'm like, that's where I draw that line. I don't need that. And if people are going to, you know, put that much effort into it, then, you know, good for them. But anyways, that's my social media rant. Don't mind me. I have glasses on. I scratched my eyeball this morning somehow, but whatever. It works. Dude.
They're safety glasses now.
They're my safety goggles. Yes. I have really, really bad vision. And so today when I was lifting, I was, playing around with taking them off. And so when I take them off, all I see is general colors. Okay. Like I can see form and color. And so I was like, you know what? Well, let's give it a shot lifting without my glasses on or any contacts. And there was a weird thing that happened. I kind of let go a little bit, but the heavier it got, the harder it was. It's like try to lift with your eyes closed. Just give it a shot.
I've done it. It's a trip.
It's a trip. Yeah. Yeah. So, but enough about me. What'd you cook this weekend, Cornell? Because you were talking about something.
Oh man, I saw a lot of stuff. Again, this wasn't restaurants, but it was stuff that I had seen on Instagram that it didn't sell me to buy their product, but it sold me to, hey, let's give this a shot.
Right.
So the biggest winner today was, I started it yesterday. It's lots of prep. So first off, you get some parchment paper out and a cookie sheet or a plate.
Okay.
Then you get the Nutella out. And you make a circle, flat circle, roughly 3 inches big. Do 4, 5, 6, however many you want. You put it in the fridge or the freezer. That's all the prep.
Okay, I like where it's going so far.
Prepped it all yesterday.
Yeah.
Then this morning I made pancakes, and you pour the batter. You take that cold Nutella chunk, you drop it right on top, and then you pour more batter on top.
Oh, so it's like a pancake Nutella sandwich.
It's a stuffed pancake.
Oh, that's fantastic, dude.
And then once I flipped it, I took the whole cube of butter and I just set it on top and kept like massaging the pancake so it would just really soak in. Then I would flip it again and then have it like kind of get a little crispier on that side and do the same thing on the other. So it was actually like almost like a fried pancake, but not quite fried.
Ah, that sounds fantastic. I love Nutella. I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with it on its own at all, but it also enhances other food. So let's see. I cooked something pretty fun today. Beef short ribs. I found them super cheap, like $8 a pound. And, traditionally those beef short ribs, you find them in the store and they got like more fat and bone than they do meat. Mm-hmm. And so these ones I found really nice marbling. And I was like, you know what? It's been a long time since I've done a traditional short rib dinner. So I, seared them off and then put them in my Dutch oven, a whole bottle of wine, some it's called Better Than Beef Bouillon or whatever, but it's like this thick beef paste. It's basically cooked down beef stock, 2 heads of garlic, like a handful of rosemary, onions, carrots, and put all of that in there. Let it cook in the oven at 300 degrees for about, I think I let it go for 3 hours. And the smell you get from that, and the house is just like perfumed with this like gorgeous like meat smell and rosemary and all that. Then I took it out, strained all that stuff out of the liquid, and made a pan sauce with that. Mashed potatoes. I threw a bunch of sour cream in the mashed potatoes, roasted vegetables, and some great like garlic bread. It was, and literally, I mean, probably about 20 minutes before we jumped on here is when I finished. So like, I'm still like tasting it. It was really good.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. It's an all day experience. And like, Alana was like, so did you have fun? And I was like, yeah. I started at like 2:00 and, started at 2:00, get it braising, came out here. I think I told you on the Polo, when I put it in the oven, I was like, cool. I got 2.5 hours. I can come out to the garage. I can, lift some weights, do some stuff, do my normal Sunday stuff. And then I can come back in and it'll be done. It was perfect.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I prep too by taking that Nutella and putting it on the refrigerator. But I had to work on it from the night before. So
yeah, have you ever done the Nutella trick? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it's like you get an empty bottle of Nutella. We might have talked about this, and you put in like whole milk or heavy whipping cream. You shake it up and then you put it in the freezer. And then the next day it's Nutella ice cream.
Oh,
yeah,
that sounds good.
I'm like, it's like the easiest ice cream hack there is. And yeah, I've done it once and it was really good.
Nice.
Can't go wrong with that one.
So the other thing I really did really quick, because I had no idea how it was going to turn out.
Yeah.
Before I went to the gym this evening with my son, I just put they weren't big, but they were just a whole potato.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, I don't know how to compare the size. Not a big potato, like a little bit bigger than a plum, but it was like football shape.
Yeah.
Just put the whole thing in the air fryer.
Nice.
So I squirted it down with, I didn't cut it. I didn't do anything to it. I just sprayed it down with some avocado oil and then put it in for 20 minutes and then came back from the gym. That was one of the best baked potatoes I've ever had. I had no idea what it was going to do. It's like it fried the skin so it was crispy.
Mm-hmm.
And normally for baked potatoes, I don't like to eat the outside. For some reason, I personally don't like it.
Okay.
It was just like, so I opened it up. When I got home, I put some of that Costco pre-cooked bacon bits in the middle, and I put it back in the fryer for like 3 or 4 minutes, and then I put cheese on top of it, and I had put a rip load of butter inside it the first time, and I just awesome.
Nice. I'm a firm believer that I always I'll hit if I'm doing a baked potato, it's wash it up, and I'll put it in a tin foil. I'll hit it with a bunch of oil and salt, wrap it up, throw it in there for 45 minutes or so. And that just salting the outside. I do like to eat the skins. In fact, when I make mashed potatoes, I don't even peel them. I just throw it all in there. And
that's how I make mashed potatoes.
Yeah. Yeah. And, they say there's all this nutritional value to the skin. I don't, I ended up doing it just because I was lazy and I was like, oh, this works. Cool.
I like them. I like double baked potato skins.
Yeah, me too.
But there's just normally what I'll do is I'll almost make a mashed potato inside my baked potato, and then I just kind of scoop it out. And that's why I don't normally eat the skin.
Yeah, when you were up here last, and we had those at Damon's, those giant ones.
Yeah,
those things. I was like, man, this would be a great breakfast just to drop an egg on top of that. That would be awesome. Yeah. But let me ask you a question, Cornell. What do you think? Do you think sleep is the number one recovery method?
It's the number one legal recovery method in USAW.
Great answer. I love that. Now, I don't know. I've been thinking about this a lot, and I do think about it a lot because I have a busy life, right?
Yeah.
And to me, it's I've always been oh, if I get 6.5, 7 hours of sleep, I'll be good. And yeah, I'm good to get up and go to work and hang out with family and stuff. But then when you start throwing in the stuff on the platform that we do, weightlifting, it's a whole nother ball game. And I have to force myself to go to bed, at a certain time, or else I'll stay up and do work and watch shows and whatever. But I think sleep, in my opinion, between sleep and food, that will affect my lifting in the moment. I will know if I didn't get enough sleep by the way I'm moving on there. I will know if I didn't eat enough food by the way I'm moving. And so to me, I'm I'm going to take the idea of sleep and I'm going to prioritize it at the top because that's what's most important for training, right?
Yep.
I don't know. It's one of those things that I think about a lot, and how we have so much control on our recovery. And what's the thing we do every single day? We eat and we sleep. So why not take advantage of those opportunities?
Yeah, no, I like that where it's which one is more important, the sleep or the eating? And I think that they both have very important factors in recovery and in performing. But the thing is, if you missed a meal, you can stop at the gas station and get some quick calories and be okay.
Yeah.
If you got 2 hours of sleep, you're not going to pull over and take a nap for 2 hours before you go lift.
This is a good point.
So I think that's one of the big differences right there. Is the sleep, you have to be much more intentional. The food is extremely important, but it's also something that's a lot easier to fudge if you need to.
Yeah, it's funny, when I started CrossFit, I had a coach. His name was Cody, and he was a very interesting man, and he had a lot of different techniques, right, about the way he did things, and he came from, I guess he started his own thing in CrossFit. He was like one of the original people in Oregon to start CrossFit and all that, whatever. But he also did like the Indian clubs. He was really big on Indian clubs and just had a lot of fascinating ideas. Really philosophical guy. And he swore to me that the 15, there was two different types of naps. The 15-minute power nap, which he was like, it's the best sleep you can get, which I don't know if I agree with that. But then he was like, here, I want you to try this coffee nap. And it's where you basically pound like a cup or two of coffee and then go take a nap and then let the caffeine wake you up.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently that's supposed to do something in your brain to ignite things and help with recovery, but also help you be energized when you wake up. It's an interesting concept. I've never been able to do it because I'm drinking 2 cups of coffee. How the hell am I going to go to sleep? But he's like, I do it all the time. And so to your point of you can't fudge sleep, I think you're right, because you can stop, you can get food, you can, get home, eat a banana, you can do whatever you want. You can eat a couple different things to, increase your food intake. And there's different, foods you can eat that will actually digest or actually you can use, during your workout, but you can't do that with sleep.
Yeah. I've never done the 15-minute, but I have done the 20-minute nap. I think what was explained to me, what it was explained to me, what was explained to me about the 20-minute nap is that it gives you enough time to fall asleep and get some quick, basically like carbs for sleeping. It's going to be quick, fast burning energy that you're going to be good. It's almost like drinking a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
But if you're asleep longer than 20 minutes, then you start to get into that deeper sleep where you have to be asleep for a couple of hours. Otherwise, you're going to wake up and just be super groggy.
Yeah.
What I have found is I will lay down when I'm in one of those times where I need to do something like that, or I can't do something like that, and I set an alarm for 20 minutes, and I probably fall asleep in 5 to 7 minutes. So I'm probably getting that 15 minutes before the alarm goes off.
That makes sense.
So I'm not actually setting an alarm for 15 minutes, but that's probably more likely how much sleep I'm getting.
I've tried it both ways where I'll have a long day at work. I'll get home. Maybe I didn't get enough sleep the night before. And I'm like, I got to take a nap before I lift. Sometimes it works. Sometimes I'm just like, I wake up and I'm like, yeah, I'm not lifting today because things just are not working out. And also to that note, I used to be like this, and I would say the majority of the time I am like this, but when I wake up from a daytime nap, I am not a cool person to be around.
You're probably probably in that you've slept too long, so your body is kind of switched over to some of those other divisions of sleep.
That's a good point. So do you think there's and this might sound really ignorant, but can you sleep too much?
I'm sure you could.
I mean, that'll affect your training in this conversation, I guess.
Well, the thing that all I'm thinking about is how much I've listened to the Olympians and the people who it's their job to be recovered.
Right.
And they are either lifting, eating, or sleeping. Like if you've ever listened to anything with Mezzo Hasona, his dad will see him. He's like, hey, you're sitting in a way that's taxing your back. You need to lean against the chair. Like when he's just watching TV or if he's eating.
Yeah.
And so I think it was him or it was Ivan Abaziev saying that, like, if you can sit, if you can lay, if you can sleep. Like you should always be trying to get to that sleeping stage.
Right.
So yeah, I think one of the other parts. So it's funny we're talking about this because I talked about this with my buddy Tim, like I think just through text message a couple days ago.
Right.
And one of the other things that I think is a big important thing is it's not just trying to get that 7 to 9 hours of sleep. It has to do with how early you're going to bed. So for me, my sweet spot is I'm in bed by like 8:30 to 9:15.
Okay.
And then I don't touch my phone after 9:30.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm not saying I fall asleep, but I sent this to him and I screenshotted it. Actually, I can just go to, if you have an iPhone, you can go to health and then you can find your sleeping.
So how does it, I mean, are you wearing an Apple Watch? Is that how it's tracking it?
No. So I don't believe in tracking my sleep because I'm firmly against tracking your sleep and like the whoops and all those kinds of things. Because I don't need to be told up front from the beginning of the day that you didn't get good rest. So you're probably going to have a bad day.
That's a really good perspective to look at that too, because too many people will let that stuff just dictate their life.
So the way that this pretty much is I don't watch when I'm ready for bed, like to actually put my head down and go to sleep. The last thing I'm doing is I'm on my phone. Yeah, I know that's not right. That's not how you're supposed to do it. Blah, 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 whatever.
Right.
It's like 8:30 at night. It's not midnight.
Yeah.
So my past week, so I pretty much look at it as from when I set my phone down to when I wake up, because the first thing I do is I'm going to check to see what time it is. And I can see on here, it says average time in bed. And then you can see all the little lines when I've woken up and looked to see what time it is.
Right.
I'd show you, but you can't really see it. So the last week, I've averaged 7 hours and 54 minutes in bed.
That's solid.
The last month, 7 hours and 58 minutes.
Okay, you're consistent.
The last 6 months, 8 hours and 44 minutes.
Wow.
So
what happened in the past 2 months that you lost an hour?
I don't know. I think that there's been a handful of things. There's probably been a handful of stuff where I just didn't sleep good at all and had too much caffeine too late, or work was stressful. And I can think of a couple, probably 3 or 4 nights in the last 6 months where I was like probably up to like 4. Or I would wake up at 2 and just be like stressed with work and that kind of a thing. Yeah. And so those kinds of things can really throw some stuff off. But I think that this is a really good thing. You can keep track of it. You can kind of like make little goals for yourself, just to see how consistent you can be. But what I was telling Tim is I think that a big thing that people don't pay attention to is it's not just how much sleep you're getting, but how much before midnight are you getting to sleep? My mom is from Hungary. None of this really matters, but my grandma is Hungarian.
Okay.
And something that she always told my mom is the rest you're going to get before midnight is almost like your body is counting it as double. So if you go to bed at midnight and then sleep till 8 in the morning, it's like, okay, great. You got 8 hours sleep.
Yeah.
But if you go to bed at 9 and you get up at 5 in the morning, that technically is 8 hours. But it's almost like you're going to be rested like you're getting in at like 11. So
I see.
That's all old school. She was born in the 20s, like stuff that they just kind of, old people knew stuff without knowing stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's because they lived in a hard time and they had to figure it out. I always look at it as like they knew stuff because it was a necessity to know these things. Yeah. Now it's just kind of a luxury that we know them because we're talking about it in the sense of weightlifting. Like if we didn't do weightlifting, do you think that, and the average person or even us would care too much about our sleep? Maybe a little bit, not as much though. I can tell you that. I would probably be a lot more irresponsible about my sleep just because that's, it's like, it's weird. When I was growing up, and mind you, I was a kid. So like, I always was like, I want to find a way not to sleep because I'll be so much more productive. I could do stuff all night. No one would bother me. And then I had a friend, he was like, yeah, why don't you just do meth? And I was like, no, it's not a good answer. Don't put, yeah. So I don't know. Like, I think that there's all kinds of ways of recovery. I just think that sleep is so important. And
yeah.
My situation. I play musical beds a lot of time in my house, and I do that because of the sleep that I need to get. It's no other reason, but like I find the bed in my house that is the quietest and the darkest. That's where I sleep. And Alana and I are very much on the same page with that. So that's good.
Yeah, I think some of the other funny stuff is everyone's always looking for that quick fix and that simple trick.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of these watches are supposed to be helping in sleep trackers. But like, what's the easiest way to lose weight? Limit your calories, move more.
Yeah.
What's the easiest way to get more sleep? Go to sleep.
Go to sleep.
Don't turn a movie on at 9:00 at night.
Right.
Don't be dumb. Like, understand what's going on. Figure out how your body reacts to caffeine. I think one of my biggest things that I have learned in the last 6 to 8 months is my body processes caffeine extremely fast.
Yeah, so does mine.
I did not know that for about 10 years. I thought my body processed very slow.
Yeah.
So I was cutting out all the caffeine after 2 p.m. And then I realized it's alcohol. Alcohol is what was really messing with my sleep.
Interesting.
And the last beer I had was at AO2 in Pleasanton.
Oh, okay.
So September. That was the last time I had, I'm not going to say any alcohol because like I'll make my wife a drink and I'll try it to make sure it's not too strong, but I'm not having more than like a half a sip. And I'm not saying that I don't drink anymore, but I don't really drink. And I have been sleeping so much better. I can have a like 200 milligram pre-workout at 5:30 p.m. and be asleep by 9:30.
Yeah, that's crazy. And that's something I couldn't do.
For 10 years, I thought it was caffeine, and I was depriving myself of that sweet drug.
Well, I think I have very personalized feelings about alcohol. And I'm not a big drinker. I'm in the same boat as you. Although I will say that, last night we took our daughter out to this really fancy like Mexican restaurant. I don't know if you've ever heard. It's called Juan Colorado's. Nope, it's not fancy. It's like your generic like beans and rice and kind of chainy restaurant. Yeah. It's like a Chili's, right? But we each ordered margaritas, and we didn't know what their margaritas were like. And they brought out fish bowls for both of us. And I'm just looking at her like, oh, we're not going to get through this night, are we? We left, and we might have drinking like maybe a quarter inch out of each of ours. And we're like, nope. But anyways, I got home and we're sitting on the couch, we throw on a movie, and I'm getting really tired. So I do this thing where I stand up. I'll like stand up and watch the movie. Everybody my family's used to it by now, but it was awkward at first. But I stand up, and next thing you know, like I'm up to like 11:30 last night. And I'm like, well, I was just tired. What the, like, why am I awake now? I don't know. Alcohol messes with me, man. And I just don't mess with it. I don't like the ability to not have control on what's going on. And I think that's the big thing. Also, I firmly believe that alcohol makes you lift like shit.
Oh yeah. I agree.
Yeah. You just shouldn't do it. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I'm, like I said, I'm not saying that I don't drink, but I don't.
Yeah.
So like if someone ever sees me out there drinking, it's like, hey, it's not like I'm an alcoholic and I'm sober or anything, but I'm like, it's right now, the most important thing other than my family is like what I can lift. And maybe it's not the healthiest thing in life, but that's where I'm at this stage of life. And I'm going to do everything I can do to make that function as best as possible.
Yeah. It's interesting because we, Alana and I have this topic come up a lot in our conversations about like, the, I don't want to say intense, but just kind of the way that that I look at weightlifting and how I prioritize it. Mm-hmm. And in my life right now, it's an investment. I've invested in the equipment at my house. I've invested in, traveling to the competitions. I've invested in paying USAW. I pay for the meets. Like, if I'm not doing everything that I can to be the best that I can, that's in my power, and legal, obviously. But if I'm not doing that, like, I'm just wasting money. Like, go find a different hobby at that point.
Yeah. It's almost like if you were going to get a special custom program just for you, but you weren't going to do a meet.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, well, what's the purpose?
What's the point? Yeah. Like, if you don't want to do meet, just get some generalized program. Go out there and find the Pendlay WOD. I don't know. Is that still out? Can you still find that?
I don't think it's officially online anymore, but you can buy one of his books and it's all right there.
Oh, like, you mean?
Yeah, like, I mean, it's not
like this
officially.
Yeah, yeah, it's in there. I know.
I mean, it just shows what his theories were, and we can, like, any grown up can take that and just put numbers to it and figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the one I have right here.
Yeah.
This one I think has Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Like, it has days of the week that you would be doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not, none of that's too complicated. If you have the type of a mindset where you can just kind of do what needs to be done and not be entertained the whole time, then that's a great way to do it.
It's interesting, Cornell. Like, I have this topic come up a lot, and like, because I don't necessarily look at weightlifting as like that's my only identity, right? But if I stop competing, like, would I still do it? Because somebody asked me the other day, they're like, why do you lift? They said you obviously lift weight for sport, like, but what if you stop competing? Would you still do it? And I'm like, I think at this point I can honestly say I would still do it, because my friends do it. There's still that kind of like that fun community, the ability to be a part of the sport. And we talk about this a lot, but like, what do you think? Do you think that if you stop competing, does actually training 3 to 5 to 6 days a week still become a priority?
I would say you have to, like, that was very cliche, but you have to figure out your why. Like, why are you going to do it? Are you going to do it for you? Like, there's only so much you can really do for you if you don't have if you're not going to compete. If you're lifting in your garage by yourself, it's going to be a whole lot harder. I could never compete again, and I would still do what I'm doing. But what I would do is transition what my highlights of my weightlifting is. Yeah. It would be trips to come and see you, trips to go out to Freedom Weightlifting, trips to go see friends, where I'm like, I'm going to train for this trip.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the guy who's out there hitting like 70% of my best ever and jumping up and down, screaming and acting like I'm some big like awesome lifter. It's like, no, I want to actually like make people go like, oh, he's still got it.
Yeah.
He's still got it. So I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah. I like that. I really like that. You know, you had I mean, in my mind, it's famous as all famous as, you know, can get, but you have a quote out there that, that circulates. I don't know if you knew that or not, but it was me asking you, you know, what are you going to do after you stop competing? And you said, you know, I just want to be in the corner of somebody who's, you know, outperforms me. Not word for word there, but
sure.
I really, really enjoy that outlook and that mentality of like, you know, it's not, there's an aspect of the sport that's very individual. Mm-hmm. There's an aspect of the sport that is team, but like the idea that like, we are not in it just for ourselves. It's not like, look at me, I'm the coolest lifter ever. It's like, how can we, you know, build a stronger community? How can we be better? How can we make other people better? How can we help people? And by doing that, you actually make yourself a better weightlifter, mm-hmm. and I guess in some perspective, a better person, right? Mm-hmm. And I just that is, especially over the past year or so, that is kind of where I've been falling into that like path of just this idea of like giving back. And, you know, sometimes I'll post on Instagram, like, you know, follow this person, you know, weightlifters following weightlifters equals a stronger community. And I'm not like doing it for any reason, but to like, you know, say what's up to somebody, you know, give them props for what they're doing. And I think if we just throw more stuff outward, then we'll see more stuff come inward.
No, I agree with that. That's part of the reason why I like to repost anyone that I can that is doing anything that I think is great.
Yeah.
And I think I haven't thought too much about this except for a lot of it the last 30 seconds.
Okay.
I would probably say when I'm done being like the athlete, like
yep.
in my brain, I look at myself as like, I'm the athlete, like athlete and the chef.
Right.
When I'm done pushing, you're probably really not going to see much of me after that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to be on social media. I'm not going to be reposting old videos of me from the past of the glory days. It's going to be like, I'll still leave the stuff up there, but I'm not going to be posting training. I'm not going to be posting all that kind of stuff, because I think what my goal would be is to transition from, okay, my time is done.
Yeah.
Like that chapter is closed. And I want to focus on other people. Yeah. And I'm still not at that point. I was talking with a guy today, and he thought he was going to be pretty close to done competing, and then he just realized he wasn't done yet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I keep thinking I'm getting close to that point, but there's that line in Rocky where he's like, there's still something in the basement. And it's like, until that basement's empty, I'm just going to keep going. And yeah, I think that this is probably pretty controversial, but I think that the stupidest thing that self-obsessed coaches say is, I want to lead from the front. It's like, to me, what leading from the front means is I want to show off for everybody, and I want everyone to see and try to chase me, instead of I don't want the best coaches that I've seen out there in USAW. People almost don't know who they are. Right. They don't know what their best lifts are. They don't know anything about them.
Right.
Because it's not about them anymore.
Right.
And that's where I would like to be.
I like that. The idea of leading from the front, you're right, is very, it's just very egotistical and look at me. Like we've talked about this, but, I think from my point of view, a coach, what I look for is someone who can lead me down the right path and then have the trust that I'm going to take that path. And when I do transition into a coach, and this is how I manage in the kitchen as well, I'm not going to sit there and hold people's hands. I'm not going to sit there and act like I know every technique, every way, and it's either my way or the highway. We're a team, right? And so, but I'm leading you into a path of success, but If you have like an idea or maybe a different perspective, bring it up, because who knows? Then we could just throw that into the game plan and it'll just make us better. And so my idea of leading as a coach is saying, I'm going to give you the tools and then I'm going to empower you to use them on how they work in your brain. You know, like here is a Monday through Friday outline program, or in my case, here's a recipe. And I talk about this a lot in the kitchen. A recipe is just a roadmap. There's 500 different ways to get to the end result of that recipe. There's 500 different ways to cut your potato to get it into a small dice. I don't give a shit how you get there. Just make the result how it's supposed to be. And as a leader, as somebody who coaches people, there's something to me that's so empowering when a coach trusts me, or when a boss or a manager trusts me to do what I need to do, or isn't sitting there telling me that there's only one way to do it, or this is how to be successful. No, we got to step back and realize that everybody's an individual and everybody learns differently. Everybody uses technique differently. Give them the end result. Say, this is how we're going to get there. Now let's figure it out. Mm-hmm. And like, I will never understand. And I use the term pretty lightly, the dictatorship of coaching, or of leading. I see it in my industry all the time. I see it in weightlifting, and I'll never get it, because those people in that realm of that dictatorship are just never going to reach the potential that they could reach if they just got with somebody that worked well and was allowed to be empowered to do things and was encouraged but led in a very responsible way. There's my rant.
No, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I've been on teams and I've not been on teams, and I've seen one of the hardest parts is a lot of coaches are so like, this is my program. This is what you have to do. Yeah. It's like there's one team in particular that I'm thinking of. I'm not going to drop names because it's whatever. It's in the past. Yeah. But I hired that coach to coach me, not to program for me.
Correct.
I told him from the beginning, hey, I'm on a in-person team, but I'm also the coach, and I would like to be held accountable and be coached. So I'm looking for coaching. I'm not looking for programming.
Yeah.
And about 6 months later, it was everyone does the one program, my way or the highway mindset. And it just kind of like got dictated into that. And I was like, no, your program didn't work good for me. So then I had to then be not dishonest, but lying by a mission. I was starting to do my own program, and I switched over. I did my own program for a little while, and then I switched over to weightlifting AI. Yeah. And I think that, if I was able to have that honest conversation with the coach about like, hey, I still want you to coach me. I still want you to hold me accountable, but I'm going to do what's working better for me. And unfortunately, what you're putting out there is not what's best for me. I think that I could have had, who knows, I might have still been on the team.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I was talking about. Like, you got to be able to empower your athlete. You have to. If your athlete comes to you and says, you know what, I need A, B, and C, or I think I want to try A, B, and C. Maybe the athlete doesn't always know, but in your case, you've been lifting for 10 years. So you're like, hey, I know what I need in this case. And, it takes, it's like that saying, leave your ego at the door or drop your pride before you come in. Like, if you're going to lead people, you got to step back and see the big picture. You can't sit there and micromanage and act like everything you're doing and everything you're saying is the only way possible to get there.
Yeah.
It might have been for that person, but man, I can't tell you how many chefs I've had that is like, you don't do this, you don't do that. And if you do it, you're out of my kitchen. And I just don't work well like that. And I don't think, everybody's different. Everybody has their own way.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful thing about life is we all get choices. We make our choices.
Yeah.
Well, Cornell, that's a really good conversation, and I think we could probably pick up on the next show where we're at, or else we'll be out here for another hour or so. Buddy, I appreciate you being here. I think that's about it for tonight. We're at 45 minutes. Everybody go out, check the Instagram, check out the People's Master Instagram.
If you want.
If you want. I never plug our Instagram on here, and so whatever, I'll try it. All right. Anyways, everybody, thank you for listening. I appreciate it. We always appreciate it. Thank you for the comments. And we'll talk to y'all later. Adios.
Bye.